Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. OBS Chan seems to work just fine. Let's go and start this up. This is a game called Slay the Princess, and this will be my first part of playing it as the full completed game. Now, this video will be labeled Part 3, because technically this is the third time I have played this game. Part 1 was, I think, probably close to a year and a half or so ago. We'll just say 2 years, I can't remember. It'll be whatever date Part 1 came out, is when I played it, of course. I played a demo, it took 4 hours, got all the achievements. There was 7, I think. And then probably about 6 months ago or so, I think I played this again, because it had an updated version of the demo, which changed a lot of the art, added a few things to the story, and added some more options, changed some voice acting, some music. And I'll say this, both were really good. Though, I'll say I also am glad I got to play it in that older version, and also in the other demo version. Now that being said, Part 1 took 4 hours. Part 2, I think, only had 12 achievements, and granted I at least knew what I was doing and was basically trying to speedrun it. Took 4.5 hours. Now this may be many parts. Heck, I still need to go back to the Scarlet Hollow game. Because like I said, a lot of games I've started, like I said, I'll definitely get back to that at some point. Oh, by the way, I bought the supporter pack. Because I bought the game at the start of the week, but of course I worked a lot of hours this week. I get 1 day off, so I just got done work a little while ago. So, yeah, I have a lot of things I'm wanting to do, and one of them, of course, is this game. But I had bought it Monday, and it's now Saturday. But apparently yesterday, a supporters pack came out, which is $10. By the way, no reason why I know this game's going to be taking up a whole lot because of time. There's 97 achievements on Steam for this. I haven't read through what the achievements are, but the fact that there's 97, this is going to be a very long game. Even for somebody that at least, like I said, and for the most part, when it comes to playing the game blind, playing the game in its full version, this is essentially a blind playthrough. Because while I did play both of the previous demo versions, I have not played the full game before. And apparently, the game may be 10 times longer, I have no idea. And the amount of backtracking you would need to try to catch all the achievements and all the story elements, I have no idea. So this is probably, I'll put links in the description and even a comment for the Part 1 and Part 2, since at least my reactions might have been a little different, because, 1 is the past, and 2, my initial, time seeing it. So, like I said, it's not completely blind because, I played the demos, but this will be my first time playing the actual game. Now, that being said, it will probably take many parts to get through all of it. The other thing is, I bought the supporters pack, which apparently came out yesterday. It was an additional $10, which I don't mind because I like this developer. I enjoyed the Scarlet Hollow game, and even though I only played episode 1, and I have all 4 episodes, and I think they plan to continue that further, but I have no idea how. And of course, that's another game that's require multiple playthroughs to see everything. But this game probably will take multiple playthroughs and many parts. That being said, apparently the supporters pack, aside from me being able to show support to people that I believe are amazing game developers and make incredible stories, and I want to see more from them, heck, I wouldn't be against seeing them dive into other genres as well, like a platformer or something. Or heck, how about a game similar to Thumper or Nerve? I'd say more along the line of Thumper, but a little bit more to do. If you have no idea what Thumper is, I did a Let's Play of a game called Thumper. I'd say it's a rhythm game, but it's more of a reflex basis game. You're a beetle flying through space, fighting off eldritch horrors. But yeah, the supporters pack. So I want to see more from them, and especially stories. But I'm cool with them exploring new genres. But and I'll remember this: the music, it's definitely a bit spooky because, well, horror games. So, but it's good. It's just a little unnerving at times, but it's horror movie music. So, now that being said, the supporters pack apparently has 160 HD wallpapers. So that's probably going to look really cool. Now, I have not looked at those wallpapers because, you know, it would be a spoiler for the story. Now, I don't know if after I record this part, if I'll flip through the HD thing, spoilers or not, just because I want to see the cool art. I don't know. Should I spoil myself by reading that stuff later before I do part 4? I don't know. And then, of course, in addition to 160 HD high-quality wallpapers, it also comes with the soundtrack, the OST to the game. So that's pretty cool. Now, that being said, like I said, I'm not going to have a 4-hour video for this, and even if I did 4 hours and was trying to speedrun it, I wouldn't be able to cover all the same stuff I've done in the demos. So I doubt we're going to see anything new. I might make my old saves, but I'll just try to head one story path. But we probably won't even be able to get through one normal playthrough of this. And this is probably going to require so much replayability. But, one, I'm going to enjoy it no matter how much. I'm seeing something about a parallax effect, and I have no idea what that is. Oh, the motion movement things. I don't know about motion sickness, but I know at one point in part 1, I think I had to turn that off because I don't think my computer or OBS could handle it. But, yeah, this game is going to be good. It's probably going to take many parts. I don't know when I'll do the next part, but I won't do a whole 4-hour part. But I will put the links to part 1 and part 2, where I played the old demo, and then of course part 2 is the demo that was before they released the full one, which I think was 6 or 8 months ago, but it'll be whatever date the YouTube video is set to. But yeah, it's been long enough that it's still going to be fresh, and of course, like I said, I only know what occurred in the demos. But yeah, about the supporters pack. By the way, Black Tabby Games, how do I find your supporters pack? What part of my computer? I look through my documents, I don't see it. So I assume I'll probably just look in the, discussion forums, or community thing for the channel, or just click parts of the game. Heck, it might even have a link in the actual game menu. Okay, enough stalling. Let's get into the horror. Content warning. This is a horror game. It is not intended for all audiences. Please visit our website, blacktabbygames.com, if you need a full list of content warnings. Slay the Princess contains flickering image effects as well as a parallax effect that on rare occasions has caused motion sickness in players. If either of these cause health issues for you, you can disable them in the game's preferences. I don't know if it causes health issues, but I don't know if my computer would handle it. Whatever horrors you may find in these dark spaces, have heart and see them through. There are no premature endings. There are no wrong decisions. And by the way, guys, I plan to try to get every single achievement, every decision, every ending. But above all, keep in mind, this is going to be a very long game, and me trying to do that stuff will probably be very confusing for me. Also, again, it's going to be a very long game. I don't know how long it'll take me to do that. There are only fresh perspectives and new beginnings. This is a love story. Graphics look really cool. Oh, follow us on... I have to do that. By the way, no one go to my Twitter. It's just porn. So, yeah. I don't think anybody wants to see lewd pictures. So, but I'm definitely going to follow them. I follow a bunch of random people that, from different... Even people of different viewpoints than my own. Just because it's interesting to, learn about people and to see what other people's viewpoints are. Well, OBS is not freaking out, but 10 minutes. Anybody who knows my channel knows that I tend to, ramble a lot. That's my entire channel, just me rambling. Can I load the... Oh, okay, so I think... Okay, so all my saves from the demos are gone. That's good. I would have kind of wanted to... Music's like, have you forgotten? I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm just a terrible sense of direction. I'm drinking some 7-Up. But yeah, this game's going to take a bit of play. It's going to take a lot of... And I need to return to this game at some point. It's just... I just worked a 60-hour work week. At least last night was just normal 8-hour shift, but the day before that was 12-hour shift. But hey, all the overtime pay means I can buy games like this, and heck, I think I'm going to get Midjourney AI, because I want to make all my ideas for fusions and stuff something other people can see. As well as I like old retro games. So like I want take Dragon Spirit the New Legend, or Brave Fencer Musashi, or Mega Man Legends. And I want to be able to actually, bring those things. If anything, I'm like free advertising for like companies that don't even exist anymore. I'll be like, hey guys, do you remember Jaleco? Jaleco. The Japanese leisure company made a game called Robo Warrior for the NES. 8-bit, but the music is phenomenal. Same thing with Dragon Spirit. It's some of the best music you've ever heard, but it's 8-bit. And it came out in 1987. But yeah, this music is pretty chill. I like it. Also, I won't be showing the HD wallpapers. Like, I won't be like going through and viewing that stuff on my video, because I want to encourage all of you to actually buy the thing. But I might share 1 or 2 pictures on Twitter, just to be like, hey, guys, I'm playing this game, it's cool. Though most, like I said, most of that's just porn. Because I'm a degenerate. Okay, so how do I move anything? Gamepad. Advanced dialogue activates interface. What interface? Rolls back to earlier now. Forward. Shoulders. Advances. Okay. Rolls. Advance. Why? Hides user interface. That's cool because sometimes I want to just look at the awesome pictures. Start guide. D-pad. Navigate interface. Okay. Return. Now, what are my options with would be on controls? Preferences. Okay, what do we got going on? Boil effect. I don't know what that is. Flickering images. It's flickering. It's parallax effect. I think it's a motion thing. Music is pretty kick-ass. So, Black Tabby Games. I look forward to more stuff from you, but honestly, it's probably gonna take me forever just to get through Scarlet Hollow. And of course, I'll try to get through this before I go to Scarlet Hollow. And I haven't looked through the supporters pack. Like, I bought it right before starting this up. I looked around briefly on documents. I couldn't find it, so I'll find it later. But I'll probably actually look through it, after part 3. So I'll be a little bit spoiled. Unless anybody in the comments is like, no, I want you to play a little bit more of the game before spoiling yourself. But then again, that would require anybody watching this video. But yeah, I suggest other people buy this game and support us back, just because I like this. I like the developers. I don't know anything about them other than I like their work. I find their music and their art. I don't know what the right word is, but it's supposed to be something positive. Stuff it up. Is the menu getting... Did you get bored of waiting for me? Well, Yeah, I guess I'll start this up. Start game! Chapter 1. The Hero and the Princess.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
Okay. I think the parallax thing is that when I move the mouse around, can I do that? Nope, I cannot do that with the joysticks. Well, what about this joystick? Not the D-pad. Okay. I have to use the mouse. From time to time, I'll just do this. That being said, OBS, are you okay with this? OBS is not freaking out. I just remember the very first, I don't know if, I think part 2 I just had all the effects turned off to begin with by default because it was still saved. Because all my old saves from the first demo were still there. But part 1 I had turned off because OBS couldn't handle it. I think maybe the developers of this game made the game more optimized. Maybe they had to, because like I said, 11 gigabytes, which means they had to have included.
To slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Now, I don't know if they updated this voice acting, but I do know that from the first demo to the second demo, there were big changes to a lot of art, some of the music, the atmosphere, some of the choices, but there was even changes to the voice acting, which I'm glad I got to experience the original version of the voice acting, and then of course that secondary version. Now, I don't know how the finalized version is, but even just from what I've heard of the narrator so far, I'm enjoying this. But keep in mind, I am the cringiest person on the internet. I get distracted easily, I tend to go off rambling. I will probably talk about random bullshit from time to time, and this will be a very incoherent playthrough of this in every way. So yeah, I'm probably the least enjoyable person to enjoy. Fuck, I can't even describe that correctly. But you guys know what I mean. This is not going to be a good quality video. This is just random, crazy guy enjoys playing video games.
I'm talking about the end of everything as we know it. No more birds, no more trees, and perhaps most problematically of all, no more people. You have to put an end to her.
And here's the big thing to keep in mind, guys. In part 1, I was more so just stumbling through stuff, which will definitely be a lot of what happens later on in the game, but I don't even know how long the game is. But 97 achievements, damn. And I think I have to, even the ones that were old ones, I have to re-earn, which that's good. It gives a sense of breadth. I know some of it was Linkin Park references and Dragon Ball Z jokes, which I enjoy that kind of sense of humor. But I'm going to be, part 2, I was speed running this shit. I was just trying to go through it quickly and see what was changed. Because I was it's still a demo. I just want to go back into it. But this, I'm going to take my time and savor this game. We're going to listen to each of the voice actors and we are going to just take the time look at the picture, it's moving, it's 3-dimensional, it's so cool. We're going to be doing stuff like that. So if you want a quick or organized playthrough with any sort of goal other than I just want to stumble through this game and have fun, and I want to enjoy my experience. That's it. I just want to take my time and smell the roses, as it were to speak. What are good smells, guys? What smells do you guys like? But I'll say this. This is going to be a very slow playthrough of this. Of me just being annoying. If you don't tell me why she's dangerous, I'm not going to kill her.
She's not dangerous. She's just a princess. The danger comes if she gets out. Which she will, unless you do something.
But yeah, I'm just going to take my time with this, because even just listening to the narrator in this, I'm enjoying this a lot. By the way, I would like to be able to wiggle the picture with my joystick. I know that sounds sexual. This doesn't turn into a hentai later, right? No. I'm pretty sure there might be some slight fan service and slightly romantic, happy, both dark and depending on the ending, there might be like romantic, basically everyone's like, are you going for a good ending or a bad ending? I'm going to try to go for the happy ending, which I probably won't do the first time through. But like I said, this game's going to have a lot of different endings. But hey, let me know if you want to see me play more. But regardless if anyone messages, like I could probably have 0 likes and 0 comments other than me just having links to part 1 and part 2. I'm still going to play more of this game. But a little encouragement would be nice too. It's like now the other narrator talks about his low self-esteem. Have you considered that maybe the only reason she's going to end the world is because she's locked up?
While I appreciate the mental exercise, we are running up against a bit of a ticking clock. Nevertheless, let me assure you, the princess is locked up because she's dangerous. She is not dangerous because she's locked up. And before you decide to waste even more of our time by asking how I know that, let me suggest a more pragmatic lens through which to view this situation.
By the way, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you see how I do your mouse, like this is the parallax effect, right? Which I like. I want to be able to do this with the joystick on my Xbox controller. So I can just do this. You hear that? That's me frantically moving my joystick in the hopes of pleasure. But no, I have to move my finger up and down in small circles on my mouse pad. Yes, that was meant to sound sexual.
Causality doesn't matter here, because the end result is the same no matter what led us up to this point. If the princess leaves the cabin, the world will end, and there is no changing that. It's no use arguing semantics over a metaphorical chicken or egg, because the egg is hatched and it's about to ruin everything.
Well, you said she just has to not leave the cabin. So what if I just like bring some Jenga and Mahjong, and we just sort of like play SNES and Halo, Super Mario World, and play some Halo 3 and eat some Pizza Hut? Like, we can just order pizza and like, okay, she can't leave the cabin or the world ends. Okay, but what if I just stay in the cabin with her? I mean, technically, she's not locked up because, we can just start building additions to the cabin. Like I can just tear down one of the walls and just keep gradually expanding the cabin. So she's technically never out of the cabin, but eventually the cabin is the size of a 10 mile square radius. Everyone's like, I'm just arguing semantics. Like, technically she's still in the cabin, but she's 5 miles from what it was, and now there's a Walmart inside it. It's like, what's the name of this city? Cabin.
Unless, of course, you do your job and slay her.
But yeah, I plan to go for every ending and which many of them are going to be horror, but I want to go the happy ending. So, everyone's all not dead.
Does it? Are you a monarchist? Is slaying a princess that much worse than slaying a fisherman or a miller or a seamstress? If anything, slaying a princess is much better than slaying a seamstress. Seamstresses contribute something of value to society. The more specifics you have, the harder it will be for you to do this very important job. She's a princess. People will listen to her, because listening to her is in their nature. And when they do, everything will come crashing down.
Okay. That's...
Look, you're already on the path that leads to the cabin. Why would you be here if it weren't to complete a very important task? You've made it this far, you might as well reach...
Can't resist the urge to double check OBS. Ba. Okay. Again, music is awesome.
Oh, if only that were the case, but I don't make the rules. I have to say, I'm surprised at your reluctance thus far, but unfortunately for the both of us, you're the only one who can pull this off. Like I said, I don't make the rules, no matter how much I wish I did. course I haven't. Why would I even consider that? Nobody wants the world to end. I mean, maybe some people do, like nihilists, or very, very evil people, but surely you're not one of those, right? Yes, but you'll have to slay her before you get it. It's a secret, but I think you'll like it. It's a special reward, just for you. And whatever you think it might be, I can promise you it's going to be even better than your wildest imagination.
Look, I'll go to the cabin and I'll talk to her. And if she's as bad as you say, then maybe I'll slay her. But I'm not committing to anything until I have the chance to meet her face to face.
Then I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But a word of warning. If you go in prepared to hear her out, she could easily trap you in her web of lies. And the more you listen to her honeyed words, the harder it'll be to pull yourself out.
Okay, I feel like now you're the one trying to sound sexual. Pull yourself. Anyway, but like I said, I'm gonna try to go with the traditional happy princess ending that, like you learn from like Super Mario Brothers or Sonic and Amy. And all the other playthroughs, we're gonna have plenty of times of all of us killing each other. But for this one, let's pretend it's not a horror game and pretend that this is a happy story.
Then each and every one of us is doomed. So sure, go, talk to her. See how that turns out for all of us. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within.
Wiggling. But yeah, let's just double check OBS real quick. OBS seems to be fine. Okay, yeah, they must have just increased the optimization or something.
We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Proceed into the cabin.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
No knife.
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor.
And again, the voice acting is really good. They're actually, putting emotion. Like, even just this narrator, just narrating a basic thing, the person's putting emotion into it. Also, wiggly. Though, also, I'll say another thing. I think they also toned down a lot of things, because while you do see some movement here, I do remember in part 1, it seemed like everything was moving a whole lot. Like I was in a freaking Etch-a-Sketch or something. Which I don't know if that even will show up in part 1 or not. I can't even remember. It's been so long. But yeah. And here's the thing, depending on the voice acting, what we'll probably get here is the DAMSEL version, which will be, she's going to sound very sweet and loving and, innocent. Whereas in other versions, say if you take the knife or react certain ways, she's going to either be domineering, feral, malicious, a ghost, an eldritch horror, a witch, a werewolf, a giant. And of course, each of them has such a unique voice. And not only is the voice itself different, but the delivery and the rhythm of the speech is like a completely different person. But yeah, we're going happy.
Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
I will say this, my very first interaction with her in the demo. The first demo, I encountered the Eldritch voice, and dear fucking god. And here's the thing, they even changed it up in the second demo, and that was different, but also unnerving. This is going to be enjoyable to listen to.
Hello? Is someone there?
That's a pleasant voice. It's not one that's going to sound like it's going to kill me or, end the world.
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life.
True, I will probably remember all of the various voices of the princess forever.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed. How many times do I have to tell you how dangerous letting her out of here would be before it finally sinks in?
Wait, really? You're here to rescue me? I was starting to think I'd be stuck down here forever. Come downstairs. I want to see the face of my rescuer.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
I still, in part 2, I started surmising, who I am. And, I'm pretty sure I was locked to that other chain. But yeah, part 1 was me being all reactionary to everything. Oh my god, scary voices! And me acting like a total bitch, because, I don't know. I am, I guess. And part 2 is me I've seen this stuff before, nothing's going to scare me, I'm going to speedrun this, see what's different, and I'm going to be overly analytical. This one, like I said, part 3 and beyond, we're just here to smell the roses, guys. And this one, we're going with, I don't know, a scent of flowers I like more.
She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone?
I do agree, she is pretty.
I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding.
Oh dear God, I'm the last person. Stay focused. Have you heard my movie review of Bullet Train with Brad Pitt? I call it a Daniel Stern Bullet Train. It's 30 minutes long and I talk about 200 different subjects. Only one of them is the movie.
Hi. I can't believe you're here. I've been waiting for something like this to happen forever. I hope you brought something to deal with these chains.
Hypothetically, I have no idea the chains exist.
Don't do it. If she gets out of those chains, we're all one step closer to the end.
Well, technically, it's only one chain. Well, let's see what I can do.
You're only making this more difficult.
That is a really, really well put together chain. That fucking cuff is half her forearm.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's another thing again, there's versions where either she uses the knife to cut off her hand, or she uses her teeth to chew through her arm. And every time she does it below, the thing. So she loses half her forearm. If you're going to cut off your hand, why not do it at the risk to lose the least amount of your extremity possible?
You're making a huge mistake. No, you're doing the right thing.
Hey, you guys remember the song by Infected Mushroom? Can't stop making bad decisions. I like the band Infected Mushroom. I like Linkin Park. I like Rammstein.
You walk up to the
but apparently I can't stay
bind
focused.
the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
Anything being hit by itself can be damaged. It's oh, this is indestructible metal. Well, what if I hit the indestructible metal with other indestructible metal?
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Yeah, they didn't leave that out there. I mean, honestly, if you felt patient enough, I could probably just bend a part of the link of the chain so you don't feel the vibration from it, and then I could just start smacking the chain into the rest of the chain in the hopes of breaking one of the links. Because I would just have to aim it at one specific spot of a link over and over, and anything can be broken if hit by itself. It's just... it's gonna have to take a while. It's kind of like killing somebody with a wiffle bat or Nerf. I mean, technically you could probably do it, but it would take hours. Yes, it's a South Park reference, Eric Cartman.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs.
Why would they leave the key?
Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day.
Princess, can you hear the voices in my head?
The key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
Dear people of both genders, do you judge your partner if they hear voices you can't hear? And if there isn't any key... yeah, I mean, I have to go find something. Then again, there was nothing up there. It was just a fucking knife. They like you said, they wouldn't have left a key.
Maybe there's some way to break the chains?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you don't mind being patient, you know, I mean, you have a deck of cards? We can play some cards while I rest between the sessions of trying to smack the links together. You're just the sound of clapping until I eventually get the damn chain to break.
Or if that doesn't work, I guess we can always cut me out of them.
You are really quick to suggest.
She offers the suggestion with almost complete nonchalance.
I mean, you're not Deadpool. You can't grow your arm back.
If we were stuck down here long enough, I'm sure
again,
we'd be nonchalant.
like I know she
cut
either
our way out if it
use the
never
knife or
finally be free.
chew out her hand, but why not do it at the wrist? Why do it in the middle of the forearm? Shouldn't you want to try to keep as much of your limb as possible?
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
Yeah. Is there a fridge down here? I mean, do you have some like 7-Up or Pepsi? It's cold, right?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess.
I mean, that'd be understandable.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
Could both of us even fit next to each other in that hallway, trying to slam against that damn door?
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf.
Well, again, why not the other end? Like, that's like a whole half of your forearm.
As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind.
How did you bite through your fucking bones?
It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if
Gravity?
there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her.
I mean, she's technically already free now.
You won't like what happens if you do that.
Save Princess.
Fine. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the ragged, self-inflicted wound on the princess's arm, just above the unyielding chain binding her to this place.
You know, our character kind of reminds me of Zelgadis from the first season of the Slayers anime from 1995 of Lena Inverse. Again, do you want a Tylenol or something? Or, morphine?
The blade is sharp, and it takes little effort to crack through the bone.
What were we fucking sharpening on it? Like, how is a blade sharp enough to cut through bone? I mean, understand like it's a fucking samurai sword, but a dagger? I mean, do you have the proper leverage for that? Wouldn't that be difficult? Maybe I just have terrible knives. I mean, at least her eyes do look like, obviously I'd be screaming, but like the eyes definitely do show that, hey, that's painful.
Her limb falls to the ground, and the heavy
Aren't you gonna
follow suit.
Die of blood loss? Your heart's not gonna be able to...
She didn't so much as utter a sound through the whole ordeal. No, she didn't. She smiles softly as her...
We should bandage that!
Blood from her wounded arm dripping rhythmically to the ground.
Aren't you... Okay, again, wouldn't you want to keep more of your arm? But two, it's... Honestly, you know what the biggest concern this gives me? If she's a princess and she's like this, what the fuck were the king and queen like? Like, what kind of people were there? And two, how were they treating her? But here's the thing. Why wouldn't you use a tourniquet? You're bleeding a lot.
How is she still smiling after everything? It's like she isn't even bothered by watching.
I mean, I understand trying to have a better outlook on things and smiling or even listening to music you like is supposed to have an effect to lower how much pain you feel from things. So can endorphins and adrenaline. That being said, not to that extreme. And if it did, it eventually wear off eventually. Plus, you'd be sad because you're missing part. Oh, wait. Wiggly screen! Yay! Developer! I want to be able to do this with joystick. Okay.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
Okay, maybe I can cut the doorknob out of the fucking wall. Hope we can leave. Approach locked door. What? Are you asking me to save? Did I click the wrong thing? I think you're asking me to save. Oh, here's all my saves from the... Okay, October 28th, so that's when I played Demo 2. So Demo 2... So Part 2 was October 28th. No, that's today. Wow! I'm tired. I was like, there weren't automatic saves earlier. Yes, because you hadn't played the game yet. Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, we'll make our save. We will return.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
What are you doing?
Arguing with the voices in my head.
Stop that.
Something's come over you, hasn't it? You know you don't have to do this, right?
Your body lunges forward, the blade held low, ready to sink into her heart. But the princess dodges, stumbling back against the wall before the blade has a chance to connect.
Here's the weird thing. I remember distinctly in both versions of the demo, I was asked twice.
Stop it. Stop trying to resist me. I'm trying to get you out of here alive.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, I knew I got asked twice. Also, does it matter, are any of these an Easter egg? Picking one of let me know. I don't mind spoilers in the comments. If there's some, extra way or a path, especially if it's a question I ask. But, anyone actually take time to pick every single combination? Not just every one of these, but, there's another list, too. So maybe it's oh, you have to pick specifically option 4, then option 17.
The blade. Move the blade. As your body remains frozen in stubborn resistance, the princess takes a cautious step forward.
Why aren't you controlling me now? Did you run out of fucking mind control mana, Buck? Yes, it's a Bleach reference.
No, this isn't you.
She nervously reaches towards you and takes the blade from your
Again.
infuriatingly rigid hands.
Again, can you hear the voices?
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'll try to be quick.
Yeah, I have the same feeling cutting off your hand.
She plunges
Ow!
into your chest, tearing through flesh and sinew. It is agony.
I should have, told... Can I at least have the strength to point to an artery? She's going to kill me. I can at least help her do it better.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm not going to die. I'm just going to bleed in a lot of pain. But still be fucking mind controlled by fucking Bobbity.
Stay strong. We can tough it out until it's done. For her sake. For her sake? Don't you start pretending that dying a painful death is some sort of heroic gesture. The two of you have literally doomed everyone.
I also gotta return that Andy and Lily game at some point. But again, so many games! And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, another thing with the AI thing. Like Berserker Gluttony, that light novel. I want to actually bring the pictures in the light novel into... Yeah, I know they're starting to make a manga version of it too.
Whatever. She sinks the blade into your chest again and again and again, and you feel every inch of burning pain that slices its way into your body.
It's like Joe from Family Guy. Just hand me the gun, Bonnie. It's like you're not doing it...
I'm sorry.
I at least appreciate the sentiment.
She doesn't know how to use a knife, does she? Apparently not, though it doesn't matter how sloppy her knife work is, does it? A stab wound is still a stab wound, and it won't be long before you bleed out.
I know, but I could have, not hurt as much while doing it.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, next time I'll bring a manual. Or,
With one last
a way to
thrust of the
actually
knife,
break a lock that
your
doesn't
legs
involve
give out
either of us
beneath
dying.
You collapse to the floor, your blood pooling around you, your limbs unresponsive. The princess stares down at your ruined chest as tears carve rivulets of pink down her blood-spattered cheeks.
And again, the word writing for the story and the delivery. Very good.
It can't just end like this, right?
Also, Wiggly picture! But I remember it being a version of this where the, all the walls and crap are moving a lot. But OBS is okay. I just remember, that old version of it, OBS could not handle.
Oh, that's rich coming from you. As much as I'd prefer for things to have gone differently, I can't deny the reality of what's happened. The two of you made your choice. It's over.
I do like the emotion being shown in the face. And here's the thing. While I will be unnerved and a bit perturbed by the scary or angry stuff in the future, I will appreciate the attention to detail and the creativity of the developers. Though right now I'm looking more forward to the happy endings and the smiles and cheerful happy eyes and stuff.
Everything goes dark.
But I like people be able to draw faces well. I mean, granted, yes, the rest of the body matters too, but I like people to be able to draw a face well that can really show emotions and have a lot of range. Yep, but this is the path we're going for. Now here's the thing, I have no idea how many chapters there are. I don't know if we'll actually get to an ending of the game.
Path in the woods. And at the end of that path...
But this is going to take a lot of playthroughs.
And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
And I want to get all achievements. And before part 4, I will have looked at my supporters pack DLC, which probably will have spoiled me a little bit.
You're here to
Or scared me off from playing the game.
If you don't, it will be the end.
And maybe listen to the OST while reading a Warhammer book. Because like I said, I've never played the tabletop version of World Warhammer 40k, but I have like a dozen of the books just to read for the lore.
I can assure you that you're not dead. And to answer your second question, you're here to slay the princess. I literally told you that a second ago. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. Yes, he didn't approve of us last time, did he? If we're going to save our beloved, we'll have to be sneaky about it. Our beloved? Yes, you'll have to be very sneaky about your intentions if you're going to try and save the princess. Ah, so all of the cards are on the table. Then you should know that we and the princess are in love, and the four of us will be foiling any and all assassination attempts you've got in the works.
So is there a limit to how many voices I can have in my head?
What can I say? A world without love is a world that isn't worth saving.
I accidentally skipped something. Wiggly picture! Let's assume I'm telling the truth, and all of this really did already happen. Why should I listen to you? Why should I bother doing anything?
Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. You died last time, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. You were the one who did us in, villain. Well, not you in the literal sense, but you did everything you could to stop us from rescuing her. Oh, I wonder why. Maybe it's because the entire world was at stake. No lone princess is worth that price.
Are we fucking multiverse here? Like, is this like Team 4-star, Perfect Cell?
I beg to differ. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to...
What is that accent supposed to be? Texan?
Making the decisions
I live in Ohio.
Is
the voice of the smitten supposed to be somebody from Texas? I don't...
Anyway, I believe your second question was, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. You forced the princess to kill us, and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything, just like I told you she would? She would never. She's a perfect angel.
She probably could, because I've seen lots of different stuff in the 8.5 hours of the first two demos that were like, okay, here's some... And keep in mind, my very first interaction with the princess was the Eldritch Horror version. So part 1, my very first encounter with her, I'm pretty sure was Eldritch Horror. I can't remember. Which is, I remember, and here's the thing, in part 1 and part 2, there's very different art style how she's shown as an Eldritch Horror. Same thing with the the feral, like the werewolf version, or the giant, or the ghost demon thing. There's some very different art aesthetics going on, and different voice acting. So I'd say both demo versions are worth watching. But again, it's going to 8.5 hours, and who knows how long this is going to be. I'll try not to do 4 hours, but who knows. I'm with them. I'm going to find a way to save her from that cabin.
That's right, you can't stop all of us.
Eventually I have like 30 voices in my
We're
head.
going to sweep her off her feet if it's the last thing anyone does.
We're determined.
Are these really the sorts of people you'd like to align yourself with? You're not at the cabin yet. You still have plenty of time to reflect on the situation. I just hope for all our sakes...
Do I
that you make
get a fresh can of ice-cold Pepsi every time the world refreshes? Pepsi Man.
Just be quick about it.
Anything new?
She just can. Believe me, I wish I could tell you more, but you'll just have to trust that what I'm saying is true, and that, despite it all, you're fully up to the task that's been given to you. Maybe it's her beauty that threatens the world. Sure, it's her beauty. Why not? And before you ask, no, we can't just keep her down there. If you don't slay her, she's going to find a way out. It's unfortunate, I know, but it's just...
I still like my idea of eating pizza and playing Halo 3 and just building additions to the cabin and making it bigger.
People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things.
If people locked her away, why couldn't they slay her? Why is this falling on me?
Look, I'm not supposed to say this, but it's because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this. Call it a prophecy, if that helps, but it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here? Calling us special isn't going to make us friends, even if it did feel nice.
It does feel nice.
Oh, believe me, the last thing I want is for you and I to be friends. But I'm a professional, and I'm not going to let my dislike for you get in the way of helping you save the world.
You're being cagey. What aren't you telling me?
I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult. Not to sound like a broken record, but the less you know about her, the better things will go for all of us. I know it sounds like I'm hiding something, but you're just going to have to take me at my word. Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin.
Turn around, Lee. Proceed to cabin.
A warning before you go any further.
Yeah, what's up?
She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We already told you we're not playing along with your little game. It's your lies that can't be trusted. Her beauty is the only thing in the world we can believe in.
Kind of reminds me, like, my very first karaoke video. I think Deftone and Monotone is whatever I called it. I did some voice acting. I tried to be Bane from Batman, and I also tried to do some voice acting of Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker. You're like, how does that have, like, it has, if you listen to the context of that voice acting, which is terrible, by the way, I made Obi-Wan extremely Irish or Scottish or something, which is funny, because here's the thing. I'm half English and half Scottish. I'm an American who lives in Ohio. I've lived in Ohio my whole life. That being said, I've always considered that maybe one day if I'm rich, maybe I'll go, places like Japan, Australia, Germany. But of course, England and Scotland could be interesting too, to visit. But, I'll say this. Originally thought of myself as half Italian, half German. But if I have any of that, it's less than 1%. But yeah, 47% English, 47% Scottish. So that was neat. Did an ancestor test like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I think we've already been over this. I'm pretty sure he just likes the sound of his own voice.
I mean, I like the sound of his voice too. I like all the voices. Granted, the scary voices later will be scary, but I will like the attention to detail and the good voice acting.
I do, but I also speak from the heart. My passions are too great to be stifled. They must be expressed.
Sure, yeah, your passions are strong and all, but not everyone needs to hear them. Some things are better kept quiet. Don't pay their bickering any mind. Focus on the task ahead.
Was that Lunar DA just started talking about Futanari? And he's like, not everyone needs to hear that. Proceed into the cabin. Who built this cabin? What kind of tree? Is it
oak?
oak?
The area of the cabin is clean and elegant. Its stone walls
Oh.
draped in fine-threaded tapestries.
This looks awesome.
Prison befitting a
This
royal.
definitely has.
The only furniture
This
of note
definitely
is
has a
big
lot
wooden
more
table
detail than the
with a pristine
latest
blade
demo.
perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here.
What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime.
You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now.
But there was a mirror a second ago, and now it's gone. Pity. We could have a feather out of place, and now we'll never know. We can't gallop
Weekly picture.
her off her feet if we have a feather out of place.
Very different.
Is it? I can't say I was paying much attention to the scenery last time around.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Maybe
kind
that's
of.
because you haven't actually been here.
Wait, how is it?
Hope
Look,
this means
we
you'll
built.
finally
It's
drop
built
the
of stone
seeds
from the inside, but it's wood on the outside.
Died, and you certainly haven't been.
That's like putting aluminum siding on a brick building.
So focus up. Stop letting yourself get distracted.
Like, oh, we have built this giant castle. Could you cover that? And some wooden planks? Hey, how about you just cover the Great Tomb of Nazarick in dirt? Yes, Season 4 of Overlord technically is supposed to be out on Blu-ray a few days ago, but I'm kind of wanting to buy it from Walmart. I'll give it another week. But I was like, okay. I either have to drive somewhere and buy it or just order it online. Enter basement.
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing.
Who is lighting these?
Gold-trimmed carpet glimmers in the light of the torches positioned along the walls. The basement almost seems welcoming in the dim firelight. But it's still a stone basement. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. A soft voice carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
Her voice. It's somehow even more beautiful than last time. I can hear wedding bells already. I've held my tongue till now, but you're taking this a little too far.
Yeah.
We even know the princess. We can still do right by her without all this over-the-top fawning.
Yes, for everyone's sake, you're not in love. Just remember that her charms are all part of the manipulation. You walk down the stairs.
Oh,
and
wow.
lock eyes
This
with
is
the
new.
princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to
The chain does look like it's less. And there's no bars on the window this time. Wiggly picture! But she's wearing a much more floofy dress.
My love, we're here to rescue you from your unjust and foul imprisonment.
You know she can't hear you, right?
Okay, at least that clears that up.
She may not be able to hear my words, but surely She can hear my spirit.
Where's the playthrough where all of a sudden Hercule from Dragon Ball Z winds up being our voice in our head? Like, I am the hype man!
Oh, your spirit's plenty loud, alright.
It's you, my dashing hero. I was so worried you wouldn't come back.
So you remember me too. Also, yeah, there's a little bit more like attention to detail in certain things than there was in either of the demos. And and again, the music is just nice. Also, Wiggly picture. It was like, stop being easily distracted. But like, oh, here's a horror game. Shiny object. Aluminum foil. A balloon. A raccoon.
Did you hear that? She said we're dashing.
I mean, that was nice of her to say. I appreciate that. But I'm just glad you remember.
And she called us a hero.
Yay! My severely damaged mental state and ego as a real-world person somehow feels better from a video game about another fictional character. That's just sad. But in the same regard, happy, because I feel 2% better for like 5 minutes.
Flattery really goes a long way with the two of you, doesn't it?
Honestly, it actually does. You know, it really shouldn't. If anything, that makes me sound easy to manipulate. I'm just saying, understand yourself, understand your weaknesses. Flattery, though, I'll say this. If I know it's just flattery, like if I know it's somebody lying to me, then I'll just be really fucking pissed at them. Because I feel angry at the idea of anyone trying to manipulate or control me or lie to me. But if somebody's saying something sweet and complimentary to me, and they actually mean it, then it means a whole lot to me. I'm overly sentimental.
Waiting for you to come back. I didn't want to believe your ravings back in the woods, but this is next to incontrovertible evidence. You've been here before.
Now, this is different dialogue. Even though I haven't played this in like more than half a year, I would have remembered this.
That's right, villain. And you killed us. Well, she killed us. Only because he made us try and kill her. It was self-defense. Our beloved's hands remain unstained by cruelty.
Okay, she is very patient, not only just to have been in this place for so long, but she's sitting there patiently as I'm having all these conversations with myself. To be fair, I do that in real life too, but I think I do a good job of hiding it, so the average person in public or I'm hanging out with doesn't realize that I'm having conversations with myself. But it's more so just the fact that I tend to overcomplicate thinking, I guess. I'm weird.
And you've died before. So an entire world has been damned to oblivion. I'd really hoped I'd be the first, but what's done is done. What matters is you have a chance to do it right this time.
Okay. We're in a one-story building, and the window is open enough. You're like, oh, but she's still chained to the wall. What if I just go out the window, measure the distance from the wall to where the chain is, and then just break out the wall from the outside where that chain is? Wait, how are you in a window in a basement? How is there a window in a basement? Asking the real questions here. But here, like, realistically, here's what we do. We pick up the princess, we put her out of the window. She sits on the other side, and I sit inside the building. And then we pull the chain back and forth like we're playing tug-of-war, grinding it against the stone wall. Either the chain's gonna break, or we're gonna grind a fucking hole like we're using a fucking saw through the fucking wall. We will carry 300 pounds of fucking rock with us. I'll be like, okay, it's me, the princess, and my giant fucking wheelbarrow with the 300-pound wall of rock.
Now, hold on. If she actually ended a world, are you sure we want to do this? Are you sure we want to rescue her?
Yep.
We never saw a world end. And now I'm even more certain that we must chase our heroic and romantic destiny than I've ever
That's cool,
been.
man. But let's be smart about this.
Anyone can
Like I said, if we can't break the chain, I mean, yeah, if we have to cut her hand, then cut it at the hand. Let's save as much of her limb as possible. Also, maybe we could have brought some painkillers. But I mean, take parts of the chain, hit it against itself. Try to cut out the part of the wall. Heck, we actually have the ability to go out a window in a basement. How is there a window in a basement? How? That's my question. I don't care about the fucking, giant world. How is there a window in a basement? Main point being is I can go out there, just look, measure the distance to the window. I can cut it out from the outside. Or, again, I can lift up the princess, drop her out of the window. I mean, assuming that there's a floor that's equal to the floor inside the building. It's not like we're dangling off a cliff. Again, basement. I don't know how I see stars. Also, wiggly picture. But, just saying. She sits out there, I sit in here, we pull the chain back and forth, against the opening of the window until we either grind an entire hole through the wall, tearing the chain out of the wall, or we break those links. If we have to take breaks and take naps and drink some energy drinks, sure, but okay, one full throttle later, boom! And we just take turns just pulling the chain back and forth. Not that hard.
Are you listening to him? He's lost it. Don't let him distract you. Just do your job.
I would like to read these things. Do I have to cut you out again?
I'm okay with whatever you come up with. You can cut my arm off again.
Okay. That's... On the one hand, I appreciate the gesture of faith and the acceptance, but please have some self-preservation.
We won't be laying a finger on her perfect wrists, and indeed, we won't even have to. Do you see how dainty her hands are? We'll be able to slip her right out with no harm done.
I'm, again, dark humor sort of guy. When you said, look, we won't have to, you see how dainty her hands are? I went automatically to Eric Kaufman from the Saw movies. How in the end of Saw movie 2 he got locked in that basement. And in the beginning of Saw movie 3 he used a fucking toilet tank lid to smash his ankle and twist his foot through the damn thing. So, are we going to take a sledgehammer and break her wrist? That's... Honestly, I'm pretty sure if I had to do that to somebody in real life, one, I would prefer to find a less violent option. But two, I'm pretty sure if I had to do that, I would probably, yeah, I'll do this to try to rescue you. But one, I'm sorry. Two, I'm going to vomit. I would probably wind up puking. Seeing her bones and knowing that I did it. Oh my god. It's I'm sorry, I'm only doing this because we have no other way other than, I don't know, being smart about this and just taking our time. It's not like there's a fucking buzzer clock in the corner saying, the room will fill poison gas. Then yes, we cut her fucking hand off. We don't have a choice. We don't have time. But here's the thing. There's not a fucking spike ceiling about to drop down on us. So we have time.
What? No, she's a prisoner here. You can't just slip her hand through the chains.
Can I?
Why are you two arguing over the logistics of slipping her hand out of her shackles? She just said she'd be okay with any idea we came up with. Am I the only one here who thinks that's weird?
Honestly, are we qualified to describe what's normal? It's I'll make criticisms of things, but here's the thing. I'm not really qualified to describe what counts as normal.
She didn't care last time. Why should she care this time? That's our stoic, smiling angel.
It's nice to be able to be smiling about any situation and to be stoic, but there's a time and place for it. It's kind of like Odysseus when he talks to his son, and you can watch not only is it the story, but there's a 1995 or 1997 movie with this. The person who plays Odysseus is Armand Assante. He does an amazing job. It's the second best movie ever made, in my opinion. And here's the thing, it's not really any major effects or anything. It's like really low quality CGI stuff. But I'll tell you this, it's a really good story. And the main thing he tells his son Telemachus is this: there is a time and place for anger. Because there was a point earlier in the story where people were trying to provoke him to taking up a dagger and swinging at somebody. Because they wanted to murder him in cold blood. But they had to make it look like defense. They had to make it look justifiable. So they were outright, they were provoking him with the interest of killing him. It's just, if they just like jumped him and fucking killed him unprovoked, and him not doing anything first, they would have been put to death. They would have been executed. They would have, especially given him being the son of Odysseus, if they just killed him in cold blood, they would have been exiled from their entire country. There would have been no place, and there would have been assassins sent after them by other kings. Like, that shit would not have stood. They would have, even if they ran away full speed, people would have hunted them down and killed them like the fucking dogs they are. However, they chose to be conniving. And they tried to provoke him. And they even had somebody pretend to be his friend and try to hand him a dagger. And of course, Odysseus stops this by intervening. And as he talks to him later, because Telemachus, of course, is pissed because they were doing stuff to provoke him to try to make him try to kill people. And because they were trying to piss him off, and they had somebody pretend to be his friend and try to give him a dagger and tell him, "Oh, you shouldn't deal with this. It's your right to kill these people for what they're doing." After all. And here's the thing. It's like, oh, what about your honor and all that? But the main point is this. They wanted him to swing first so that they would be justified in killing him. And they could claim defense. And of course, they had every advantage set up so that no matter what Telemachus did, he was going to lose. So should he actually react in his anger and start swinging with the knife in his hand, he would have died. There would have been a 0% chance. It's not like, oh, what if he fought really well? No. Given the circumstances, they had it set up perfect. To where if he had actually tried to fight, he would have died. 0% chance of success. 0% chance. But of course, Odysseus, his father, intervenes. Prevents this. And later on, Telemachus is talking like, I'm pissed. Like, I'm fucking angry. And I want to fucking kill those sons of bitches. And Odysseus saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You should feel that way. That's a perfectly healthy feeling. You feeling anger, and you feeling insulted, and you feeling the need to defend yourself is not a bad feeling. That's good. It's actually something admirable. It's something for you to be proud of. But if you're going to fight your enemies, you need to do it on your terms. There is a time and a place for your anger. There is a time and a place for violence. And of course, later on the story ends with, Odysseus and Telemachus killing all of those people that were plotting. I mean, there's literally a scene where the person who was, the people that they were trying to provoke, one of the main people who was plotting it, Odysseus shot him into the wall with a really, really powerful bow. Because, there's so much tension and torque behind the string that pretty much hardly anybody in the world could actually even draw the string for the bow. It's like the Tremors 2 movie, Bert, with that sniper rifle thing that shoots through a brick wall into a car transmission. Yeah, that, but 3,000 years ago. And of course, the other guy that was really trying to really plot and being the person that Telemachus wanted to kill, the person that was really provoking him the most. The person that Telemachus would have wanted to swing the knife at to attack, that, was going to murder Telemachus in cold blood, but again was provoking the whole situation, setting it up, so because he wanted to kill Telemachus. The movie ends basically with him being able to get that kill. Because had he reacted in his anger then, in that circumstance earlier, with the knife, he would have been killed. He would have 0% chance of winning. because things were stacked out of to his disadvantage in ways he didn't know about. However, like Odysseus said, there is a time and place for your anger. You have a right to be angry, and you have a right to actually want to kill that son of a bitch. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. And like I said, the movie base ends with him running with a spear into that guy and killing him very painfully. So again, I don't know what the moral lesson here is. I guess the moral lesson is you should watch the 1995 movie starring Armand Assante. It's like a TV series technically, but it's a movie. You can. How about this? I'll put 3 links in the description. Link 1 will be part 1, which will be the first demo of this game. Part 2 will be the second demo of this game. Part 3 will be the Odysseus movie, the Odyssey. It's a great movie. You should watch it because it's cool. It's also 3 hours, so I'm giving you like an entire half a day, like 12 plus hours of stuff to do. But like as far as back with stoic and smiling, like me, there's a lot of times I'll also be smiling even if I'm like really fucking depressed, or like even if I'm feeling upset, I'll try to cheer other people up. And stoic, regardless of who you are, regardless of your gender or where you are in the world, it is an important trait to be able to be stoic in situations. It's a trait that can help you be stronger and more balanced and more practical in your decision making. However, it is important to also open up with your feelings and talk about things. Otherwise, if you constantly bottle everything up, it may become too much for you. Plus, again, while you should only talk to people you trust, talking to people, or at least even pacing around your living room having conversations with yourself, allows you to understand yourself better, vent your emotions, and at least let you understand your own reasoning behind things. That way you can at least spend time reflecting. Granted, I'm the kind of person who would, say as a teenager, I'd walk down a bike trail. And of course, this is before the internet. But I'd be walking down a bike trail, and I don't have music, I don't have, of course, internet or a phone or anything. I have my wallet and I got my house keys. And I'm just walking down a bike trail and I'm just listening to the sound of the leaves, of the branches of the trees swaying in the wind, watching, if it's fall, watching leaves fall off the tree. Just watching the clouds and stuff fly across the sky as I'm just walking down a fucking bike trail. You're meant to be riding a bicycle on this. Instead, I'm walking, and here's the thing. I'll tell you this. There are days where I would spend so much time doing that. I would go at 5 a.m. Some days, the sun hadn't even come up yet. It's a few miles to the entrance of the bike trail. I'd walk all the few miles to the bike trail. The sun would just barely be starting to come up by the time I got to the bike trail. And I would walk for so long on that bike trail, and of course I would turn back after a number of hours because, okay, I need to try to head home. And sometimes I'd bring a bottle of water or something, but, there was times I spent 9-10 hours just walking on the bike, not just the time it took to get to the bike trail. There's times where I left from home to go to the bike trail at 5 in the morning. And by the time I got to the bike trail, the sun was just coming up. And there's times I walked on that bike trail so long that, granted, I was getting close to getting back home from off the bike trail, but there was times I was walking that bike trail in which the sun had already gone down and it had become nighttime. Heck, given that, I was 9 at that point, so 12, 16. So that means back then, there was times I spent 16, 17, 18 hours just walking, just thinking about things, and sometimes I'd be thinking about things in my head, sometimes I'd be talking about it out loud, and sometimes I'd just be sort of just enjoying the moment of just taking a moment to notice the smells, the sounds, the noises. Sounds and noises, same thing. And just look around and just sort of, just forget about everything else in the world. Not think about anything and just enjoy walking down the bike trail. I don't know. Does anyone else do that? Granted, I don't do that much anymore. Just because, heck, I spent 60 hours in a fucking factory through the week. And heck, sometimes I won't go to the gym because I'm like, if I push too hard at the gym, I won't be able to do my job. And of course, I had to prioritize doing my job because that pays the rent. It's like I don't like my job, but at the same time, I'm grateful for it because it pays my bills. And, well, I can at least have a good standard of living, and I can have things like electricity and the internet and tasty food and buy a pizza, play horror games, and upload my terrible, boring, annoying, stupid reactions to people on the internet. Just because I just like doing this. I just like making videos. Everyone has hobbies in creative. Heck, that AI thing, the Midjourney AI, I'm not going to make any money off that. It's just a nice creative outlet. I'm like, wow, that'll be a lot of fun. It's just, and it's like, I know there's debates about like, whether it's good to use an AI and normal artists and stuff, but all it really comes down to is this. I just want to use it as a creative outlet. I just want to have fun. Okay, back to the story. But she is very pretty.
No, you're right. It's extremely bizarre behavior and further evidence that she's a monster who's not to be trusted. So go ahead and slay her.
I know when I had the bladder surgery last week, the day after the surgery, I went to the emergency room just because of all the blood that was still coming out of me, and also me being in a lot of pain and feeling very weak, and talking to the doctor in the emergency room. They're like, yeah, that's normal. You had surgery. You're given the type of surgery you had and everything. 1, your body is going to be weak. 2, even though you do have pain pills, you're still going to be in pain. And 3, yes, it is normal for that much blood to still be coming out of your body. And I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to be gruesome, but it's just like I was still bleeding and it was painful. But they're like, yeah, you're supposed to. That's just the way surgery works. And they're like, yeah, it's going to hurt. Even with the pain pills, it's going to hurt. The only way it's not going to hurt is if we drug you completely out of your mind. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. And they're like, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, can you give me morphine? And they're like, no, we're not giving you morphine. But I meant it. I was in a lot of pain. It hurt. I was in a lot of pain. I did not like it. And I was like, I would have been okay if they drugged me out of my mind to make me stop feeling that. I'd been okay if they pumped me full of morphine. Heck, I was even telling them, hey, if I'm allowed, I mean, like, I've never smoked marijuana before, but like, you emergency room doctors give me marijuana, I'll smoke it. Give me some alcohol or something. And I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink. I've never smoked I was going to say Arizona. I was thinking about Arizona tea. I've never smoked anything in my life. But I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm in pain. I don't want to feel this way. So, but yeah, it was just, and I'll say this, it was just, again, my body was very weakened, and there was still blood. Of course, I was concerned, hey, I'm very weakened. I feel exhausted. I feel like that's the thing. Initially, like, when I knew the surgery was coming up, I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to stream. Because initially I was saying, yeah, I'm going to do an angry stream. I'm going to record videos, and I'm going to do live streams and play rage games while I'm recovering from surgery. And here's the thing, I meant that when I said it. And granted, that was like 8 months before I had the surgery, because that's how long it had been scheduled ahead. But 8 months before I had the surgery, I was like, yeah, I'm going to play video games and stream while I'm recovering. And no. Like, honestly, I couldn't even hardly even get on the internet. I don't think I even got on the internet, aside from updating stuff on YouTube comments and just trying to, like, listen to music to distract myself and shit. Though my mom was over here for 3 days and 3 nights, and I really did need it because I was in very bad condition. I mean, granted, it wasn't anything life-threatening, but I just... And it's not like she's strong enough to, like, lift or help me up or anything. But it's nice to have somebody that'd be able to, like... Because I had a catheter in me, and of course I had a bucket next to the bed that I was draining the catheter into the catheter bag from time to time. But of course the bucket would fill up, and Granted, it's not like it's folded up all the way, but like it's just I didn't have any strength. I mean, granted, it was like probably the equivalent of 2 pounds at most, if even just 1. And I'll tell you this, it was too heavy. I mean, there was times where, granted, my mom would just, like I said, she wouldn't have been physically strong enough to help me, but she was at least able to, drain my pee bucket that I was filling up, or, go to the store, get me medication. If I needed something from the store, she went to like local pizza place, got some food for us. She also did other things like, turn off my light when I laid down in bed, even though I didn't really sleep, but I was trying to. Or, just being there in case, like especially when at the emergency room, she had to drive me. Heck, just getting into and out of the car took like 5 minutes each time. Like here's the thing. When in the emergency room, they brought a wheelchair up to the car. And it took me like 5 minutes to get out of the car. And, well, actually, no. I got out of the car, it took me about 3 minutes. Walked in, basically sat in a wheelchair in there. And I did not, even when they wheeled me back to the emergency room thing where there was a bed, I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting in that bed. I'm not getting out of the wheelchair. And when I got back to the car, I was using my arms on the part of the roof of the car to try to lift myself out because my core strength and my legs were just so weakened that I was having to use my legs and my core to try to move, but I was having to basically almost do a damn pull-up. And even then I was struggling to just move myself. There was times I was laying in bed where granted, I was the one getting up by myself. She was there just basically if I needed something or to hand me some medication if I needed it. But there was times where I was laying in bed on the second, because I had to keep the catheter in me for 48 hours. On the second of those 2 days, there was a good solid 20 hours where I was just sort of laying in place, curved slightly to the right, with my legs bent in a very awkward, uncomfortable way, but I just sort of kept them there, even though my legs felt like they were starting to spasm, just trying to, but as I couldn't, it still hurt to be in that position, but it hurt even more to be any other way. And when it come to just trying to sit up or move or bend, everything was, one, incredibly painful, and two, it was incredibly hard. There was times when I was laying down where it took me an hour to be able to sit up, to where there'd be times where I was basically straining to try to with every ounce of strength I had, and I couldn't sit up. I was just sort of stuck. And of course my mom was patient with that. Like I said, it's not like she could really do much else. I mean, one, she wouldn't have been physically strong enough to lift me, and two, there's a chance that her trying to force me into a position could have actually injured me. So it was just one of those things that it's I need to be the one to do it. It's just going to be extremely difficult and take time. And of course, like I said, there was a lot more stuff going on in regard to my body with that, but again, I don't want to gross everybody out. But it's just, I was in a lot of pain. And initially, 8 months, when the surgery was scheduled, that was it. When it was scheduled was 8 months ago, when it was okay, this is the date. Because I had the surgery, I think, October 16th. And it's October 28th now. So, yeah. 12 days ago. I had the surgery 12 days ago. I saved some vacation days because I needed the week off for work. So, we had a normal weekend off before the surgery. So that's 2 days that are just normal days off. And of course, the end of the work week was 2 more days that, I obviously don't want to work overtime because I wasn't there for the previous week. So that gave me 2 additional days to recover. But, yeah, I used 5 vacation days to schedule time off for the surgery. And I needed every last one of them. Honestly, if it wasn't for the 2, the normal weekend at the end of it, at the end of 5 days after the surgery, I still wasn't recovered enough to really do much of anything. And it's funny. I went through such an exhausting experience, and yet, I just spent the last 6 days working, 10-hour shift, 10-hour shift, 12-hour shift, 12-hour shift, and then an extra shift on top of it. Worked 60 hours this week. Or just about, I'd say technically. Yeah, so I'll have to go back and check, but it's either 58 or 60. And of course my job is physical manual labor. So, exhausting under normal circumstances, and it was definitely something to get back into doing that, but it was just, like I said, October 16th I had a surgery. And I took a week of recovery, and now I've spent a week at work. I have 1 day off, then it's back to work. October 28th, 2023. Halloween's in a few days. But yeah, I don't know what... Main thing I was just trying to say is... I don't even know what I was trying to say or why. Like I said, I gotta get distracted, guys. My bad.
You died, and now we're talking.
That's an odd way to respond. So you just sort of blacked out? Do an extra save? You killed me last time and it hurt a lot. Why did you do that?
I'm sorry. Didn't you want me to?
Did we?
Yeah, you probably...
We warned her of the cruel forces seizing our body. That's practically telling her to kill us. She is our beloved, and she made the choice to free us of our misery, to show us mercy and make the best decision for everyone.
If it comes to that, though, I need to point out where arteries are so I don't die so slowly.
She made the best decision for her. Don't be so quick to assign kindness. You're just opening yourself up to manipulation.
Story of my fucking life! But before we started talking, did the world end? Did you end the world?
I don't know. Was I supposed to have ended the world? Would that have made you happy?
Am I evil?
Isn't that just like our darling princess? She wants to make us happy. My heart melts further with every word that passes through her beautiful lips.
Are you listening to her? That's a confession.
Not a confession, but it is concerning. But it does make me wonder. Does it mean if I just ignored talking to her about all this stuff and just rescued her, we get a better ending? And that by me asking this stuff, I'm actually going down the path where we're both evil? As opposed to neither of us? Wow, there's a lot of subtlety to this. Honestly, the world sucks, people are a plague, and I hope you brought... Wow! Okay, we're gonna go... I don't know if continuing... Like, I could actually... We could be like super villains. Or we could just not be super villains. I feel like each one of these has some sort of subtle... We're just gonna go back? Where is my... saves? Load. Yeah, we're just not gonna ask her that stuff because. But in future videos, do you want me to like fucking tool this? You know, tool the band. But I do like Perfect Circle as well. You know, some say the end is near. Some say we'll see Armageddon soon. Certainly hope we will. I sure could use some vacation from this stupid shit. But yeah, I feel like But I feel like these questions would end in the world ending. So, yeah, I mean, of course, I could also ask this thing. But, yeah, so there's going to be more options for the damsel ending as well. But for now, we're trying to keep this short and concise as we're an hour 40 minutes in. We're just going to rescue her.
No, I can't let you do that. If you take another step towards the princess, I would if you had a weapon.
Oh, please. You'll what? Take over the body and force us to kill her? I would if you had a weapon.
Not on my watch, villain. My passions contain titanic depths, and if you try anything that might...
Heck, if I hadn't asked about the... What if I did bring the knife? What if I... Like, just the damsel path. There are so many options. Like, this is going to take so many playthroughs.
You wouldn't. I would. I'd listen to him if I were you. He has a lot of strong feelings. And doesn't the world end if we don't stop her?
I'll end her life out. And again, what if I brought the knife this time? What if... It really did just come right the fuck off.
Her hand from her bindings. That shouldn't have worked. I'll be damned. We're doomed.
So why did you need me to do that? I mean, obviously this is sweet and adorable, and I enjoyed the moment, but... was I really necessary?
I can't believe it. But I guess I have to.
Or is it like orc stuff? Like in Warhammer 40k, orcs, if they paint a car or a spaceship red, it goes faster. Now, there's no scientific reason why that should work, but it's like the orcs' hive mind between each other. It works like the Geth in Mass Effect, except instead of increasing intelligence as there's more Geth, the more orcs you have with the stronger belief system, it sort of changes things. So you have a lot of orcs who have very strong faith. Then whatever they think happens. So if they all think things that are red go faster, well then all you gotta do is paint the spaceship red, it goes faster. Oh, a sword with a red decal does more damage. It's like, oh, if you call your attacks, they do more damage. Heck, it kind of reminds me there's a two-flower guy. Two-flower. Stefan Gagne. Stefangagne. Actually, it's in one of the playlists. He wrote a bunch of fan fictions of Slayers, and some of them are full-on novels, like Rebirth, Reflection, Chaos, and all that stuff. Incredibly long, thousands of pages. And he also did Virtual, which I read like 50 minutes of. But there's also one called Diverge, where the idea is that there are deities or godlike beings that actually come into existence, whole sentient beings, just because people believe they exist. So just because a person or a group of people believe strongly enough, a sentient being can just sort of be brought into existence. Also, that sentient being's powers, one, are related to how strong and how many people believe, but also what those powers are really just bound to, one, how strong is the faith of the people, how much do they believe, how much do they think about that being, how many people, and most of all, what do those people think that person's powers are, and how strongly do they believe. So, the power of belief.
I told you, there's no life more worth living than that of a true believer.
I'm free, and you're not trying to kill me this time.
I know, that's great!
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know, I hope that we stay on this high note and things don't go suddenly shitty.
The princess jumps up and smothers you in a joyful embrace. Ugh.
Yay, I like this a lot. I hope it doesn't get ruined by anything. And again, aside from blood relatives, I don't remember what a hug feels like. So, that's depressing. But hey, a horror video game is giving me a hug, and it's smiling and not being malevolent. So, yay! Now I've gone from 2% better to 5% better. But this is nice. I like this. I have a hug. Yay, I get a hug.
If only you had a weapon, one slip of the wrist and your pristine blade would be buried in her back and everyone out there would be saved. Luckily for Mr. Romance, we don't have a weapon.
So probably best I didn't bring the knife?
Who needs a weapon when we have the power of love on our side?
What do we do now?
We leave. Going to do a quick save if I can read. No, I'm going to save. Just because again, there's more stuff I want to read to later, but I think it changes the story. Like, what do you want to do? And we leave, and then we have our whole lives to figure out what to do next. Or there's explore. And again, all these are so nuanced, and it's awesome. Honestly, this is part 3, the damsel part. Part 4 will probably just be more damsel part. Everyone's like, you're going to get to take so many parts to actually get to the horror elements. I'm like, that's fine. I'd rather start with the happy stuff, and then we'll go to the horror later. But, let me enjoy this, okay? Let me have this. I just got a hug. That was nice. We leave, and then we have our whole lives to figure out what we do next.
That sounds perfect.
Why did the music just sort of... I mean, it's still there, but it...
The princess takes your hand, the last hopes of the entire world slipping through your fingers as they intertwine with hers.
I'm cool with this.
We have each other. We don't need the world for our happy ending.
Yay!
I like to think that you do, actually.
Do we?
I have my doubts, but the choice has been made and this is happening. You don't have to mope about it. I will mope about it.
Fucking Stanley Parable.
Love-blind fools have left me with. You and the princess walk up the stairs hand in hand. Ugh, look at the way she's smiling at you. She doesn't have to be so happy about this.
I like this. And here's the thing, look at this. Wiggly picture. Why can't I do this with the analog stick? Wiggly picture. And it looks awesome. Also, how are you not tripping the dress? I understand you're lifting part of it, but still. That's an extremely big, floofy dress. I kind of think old-timey staircases were kind of death traps. Like, usually I'm pretty sure most people would just slip and fall and die. Like, the steps weren't exactly ergonomic.
And what happens after we walk up the stairs?
I mean, technically we still haven't left the cabin. We have to go out the front door.
Let's see. Oh, isn't that interesting? The door slams in your face and the lock clicks.
Okay, I see another door, so I assume we're still on a staircase. You're a dick. What was that fucking... Like, what word used to describe the intonation he used?
That's a familiar move. Did I do that last time? Then you should know that you won't be able to leave.
Oh no! Did someone lock us in here? That's not fair. We're supposed to leave now.
True. Wiggly picture. And again, look at her face. And everyone's like, well, that's not a whole lot of detail. That's fun. I still like what I'm seeing. Look at the emotion. Hell, sometimes style matters more. I mean, heck, there's some people that get so obsessed with being realistic looking that they wind up making something that, while it is realistic and well done, it goes in a fucking uncanny valley. Like I said, there's a way to do it right and there's a way to do it wrong. And usually that's gauged by, 1, how does the actual creator feel about it? 2, what reactions does it get out of other people? Like, take... Take any of the old painters. Especially many of them had depression. Heck, it's still funny. Edgar Allan Poe thought he'd be well more known for his scientific research than for his horror stories. Though he was actually the very first person to suggest the idea of a Big Bang for the universe. And while he got a few ideas of the science wrong, technically Edgar Allan Poe was the first person to come up with the idea of how the universe came to be as a Big Bang sort of idea. Yeah, I was trying to think of something. It's the guy who had depression, drank a little bit, had the... Right, that phone's off, great. Wait, I'm on the computer. Go to Google. What's his name? Why can't I remember? Vincent van Gogh. I had to type in sunflower because he did it. Vincent van Gogh. I can't really remember too many of Vincent van Gogh's pictures right off the bat from memory at the moment. But, that's what the internet's good for. I can just look it up. But, I mean, Vincent van Gogh, just the expression in all of his pictures. And many of the pictures didn't have people in them. How many hours am I in? Almost 2 hours. But yeah, Vincent van Gogh. Really great art. Then again, I got a book called Der Mond. It's the moon. It's a book of Evangelion art. I also have a book called Guweiz, Guweiz. It's a really amazing artist. So I'll have 5 links down below. I'll put... there's somebody who does a review of both those books. Granted, I can't remember how... But yeah, those are really good books. I like the art. Also, a link to Vincent van Gogh about something. I was like, how many links are you going to put in the description? I don't know! That's even if I remember to put the links in the description at all, I tend to forget. I'll say in videos, I'm going to put a link here, and then I just forget. Okay. Weekly picture. But again, I like faces that are drawn with emotion. And of course, good detail is good. But there's different kinds of details. Obviously, anatomically, the eyeball is not going to be this big in reference to the rest of the body. But here's the thing. Is it aesthetically pleasing to look at this face? Yes! Now, if you rendered it into realistic graphics, to be a PS5, or to be realistic looking, you'd have to change some things. Otherwise, it would wind up looking horrifying. Some styles don't translate into certain graphics. Main thing is, while I have no idea what word would be used to describe the style, I like it. Granted, don't get me wrong. I'll also like the art styles of the horror elements too, but I'll say this. Not only do I like the style, but it's pleasing. This picture is pretty. And the voice is pleasing. Now, the horror stuff, the Eldritch version of her, it's going to be a style I appreciate that's good, but it's not going to be aesthetically pleasing. If anything, it's going to be aesthetically, uncanny valley. It's going to be unsettling. It's going to be fear-inducing. It's kind of like, say, Freddy Krueger. You can admire the work that goes into creating the character and applying the makeup and the prosthetics and the art without, feeling at all good about the situation. Even the colors, the red and green, are supposed to be colors that the human eye can't really react to without becoming, in that combination, it's supposed to make you unsettled. Same way certain combinations of blue and yellow. Heck, there's certain combinations of colors that's supposed to induce hunger in people, or fear, or calm. Not just specific colors, but certain combinations or tones. Same with music. Though it's interesting that certain combinations of sounds or light spectrum actually activates certain different emotions in humans. or the fact that humans have an innate thing built into them that's supposed to make them be fearful of something that looks human but isn't quite. That basically we have some sort of, think of it like a subroutine that's programmed in all humans that's supposed to teach us that one of our most primal instincts is that somewhere out there is something that looks like it's a human. Like the Mandela catalog sort of thing. But isn't. Which proves two things. One, something has to actually exist for that instinct to occur. There has to be something that's similar to the human race that isn't quite the human race for us to react that way. And two, whatever that species is, our interactions with them had to have been on such a massive scale and in such a traumatic way that it left some sort of permanent emotional scar in our very DNA, in our ancestral memories, that it is burned into us. That thousands of years later, multiple generations, many different civilizations later, it's one of the most prevalent instincts we have. But I'm just saying this. Obviously, this is not realistic. It's very stylized. But I like it. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z isn't realistic, but I like it. I like the art. So one, I appreciate, in the same way like the horror stuff, I appreciate the skill that goes into making it, but of course I will not feel happy listening to stuff because it's scary stuff. This is not scary, it's just sweet, happy. Like I'm trying to leave a cabin with my very close friend and she's pretty.
She's right. It isn't fair. But the unfairnesses of the world are no match for the strength of true love.
Enough with this true love nonsense. You just met her.
Of course you wouldn't understand. Our passions run deeper than anything you have ever known.
Are you listening to this? You don't have to go along with the every whim of that delusional voice.
I'm just along for the ride at this point.
I actually don't know what the correct choice is. At this point, I'm trying to guess, what is the option I can do that has the most happy ending? Wait, do it together.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
That's a pleasing voice to listen to. No matter what, it's good voice acting.
Pair of teenagers in love. You and the princess place your hands on the door together. Blech. And the lock clicks. The door creaks open. Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness, fucking Stanley Parable, man. The delivery is great.
I told you our love was insurmountable.
You and the princess make your way upstairs.
There's a knife right there, I'm concerned.
That's right, there's still a chance for you to do the right thing. Take the blade from the table and slay her before it's too late.
That's actually one of the options, just do it. What? No.
You're enjoying this, aren't you? You're taking every opportunity you can to draw out the end of the world and make me suffer. I hate you.
Stop whining.
That's the way out. We're going to leave together, just like you wanted.
We don't have to use the door. There's a window. Let's just jump out the window.
Yes, I suppose you are going to do that, aren't you? You cross the room, opening the door to the cabin.
And then you're in outer space.
And then you step outside.
Yay! Your love will set you free. Also, weekly picture! What is this music? This does not sound like happy music.
A happy ending at last.
The music is foreboding. What are we foreshadowing?
We did it. What
should we do now?
Why am I fainting? Like, I actually understand what it's like to go unconscious and want to faint and all that stuff. And yeah, why are we going unconscious?
Where did everything go?
Okay, so it's not me. It's the world. And that's somehow better. Also, still a wiggly picture.
Where did he go?
What, the narrator or the actual person? Are we talking about the narrator or the person who is hypothetically me?
Oh, is he gone? I hadn't noticed. I was too busy staring deep into our beloved's eyes.
Are we talking about the narrator or me? Am I technically already dead?
I'm cold. Is being happy supposed to be so cold?
I feel like you're having oxygen starvation to your brain. I mean, this makes sense, actually. It's not evil of her to react this way. It's more so, take the beginning of Alice in Wonderland. I tried to read that story for a stream, and there was a point where Alice was sitting next to her sister in a really hot summer, somewhere in the south or something, and where it's like really hot, and she's just like reading a book, and she's saying, "Oh, I feel dizzy and stupid because of the heat." And I'm like, "Oh my God, she's having heat stroke. You need to get out of the sun. You need to get into some shade. You need to drink some water, or you're going to die of heat exhaustion." Same thing here. Like, heck, there's paradoxical heat from hypothermia situations, where usually people that die of hypothermia tend to strip naked before they die, because at the very end, when they start full-on dying, their body thinks it's burning up. So a lot of times people, out of reaction to that, start stripping off their clothes, despite the fact they are freezing to death, because they feel an opposite reaction. Also, your neck's kind of turned at an odd angle. But here's the thing. Simple. Yes, she's cold. Why? She's dying. For some reason, the two of us are dying. The moment we stepped out of the cabin, we started dying. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the moment the two of us stepped outside the cabin, both of us just started dying. That being said, whatever's making us die is not good for our health. You're like, oh, that makes sense. But shouldn't that be obvious? No, it's not obvious. You know why? Like someone's like, oh, I feel cold. Yes, you're bleeding to death. It's like, oh, it's bleeding to death is bad for your health. Well, obviously, yes. People are like, that's obvious because the person's dying. Right, of course. But here's the thing. Why are they dying? You're losing your blood. One, your heart tends to overreact to that, tries to pump blood that isn't there, so you wind up having a heart attack. But also, is the fact that you need blood for various reasons. Your blood carries things, such as energy from the food you digested. So your cells can actually perform actions. So your brain can have electricity for the neurons to fire. So it can also carry the oxygen that the blood picks up from the lungs. You're cold because the things in your body, aside from one, the blood with the heat in it, is leaving you. But also your body does produce heat. There's tons of chemical interactions. There's electrical interactions. There's so many complex things that happen to make a human body function. And many of those functions and reactions generate heat. When those reactions start stopping, one, you're dying because you need those reactions to happen to live or think or breathe. But also those reactions create heat. Granted, there's a better way to explain it, but the main point being is this. And here's the thing, you're like, why? What do you lead to? She's saying, is being happy supposed to be so cold? Obviously, that's extremely stupid statement to say. That is not a logical statement in any regard. And even with all the odd setup and unusual reactions we've had from her and everyone else, this is still out of character. However, it makes sense, given the fact that dying is bad for your health. And again, I know what everyone says. Again, that sounds obvious, but the main point is this. If you are dying, you are not able to think clearly, because a lot of the stuff or blood or chemicals you need to generate those proper neuron firing responses are not there. Hell, It's even said that being overly sleepy and sleep deprived is more dangerous than driving drunk. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend doing either. But the main point being is this. Being drunk is technically your poison from the alcohol. The alcohol is technically a poison. So whether it's you're overly tired or drunk or poison, you're not going to think clearly. Simply put, whatever is killing us is impacting many aspects of our normal biological health that are required for us to form rational thoughts. For example, imagine if somebody stayed up for 96 hours on end and didn't get any sleep at all. Regardless of how much caffeine you use, that person, one, will be very irritable, have mood swings, they will be very emotional, and they'll sometimes either be outright apathetic where they can't generate the emotions, like they can't think right, or they're overly emotional and they're unstable, and also they won't be able to focus, their memory. Heck, there's been experiments with people where they had a normally very intelligent person who was brilliant and could do calculus and shit, had them stay up for over 72 hours, and then had them try to do basic little puzzles meant for second graders, meant for little kids of just average intelligence, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't figure it out. Or they would start sentences and they would just stop halfway through, and they wouldn't even finish the sentence. They would forget that they were talking, and they would just sort of keep shutting down, micro sleeps, to where basically you're blinking and you're not going unconscious, but your brain is not functioning correctly. It's kind of like the idea of, say, there are some people out there that sleepwalk. Technically, the person is obviously alive, and their body is awake on some regard. But the main thing is, sometimes higher functions of a human's brain can be turned off, and they can just sort of... Now, granted, this can exist in different ways. Heck, take the whole flow state when it comes to gaming. Sometimes a person can be very skilled at a video game, and it can be a very high difficulty game, and they just sort of zone out, and they just are focused entirely on the game. The same thing can be true of people that, say, are musicians, who are very skilled at the musical piece, and the musical piece takes a great deal of effort and concentration, but they've practiced it. They have practiced it so many times that it's become sort of like an Ultra Instinct Goku sort of thing. But same way here. The idea, whatever is killing us is causing something biologically wrong with us that's obviously killing us. It's kind of okay, yes, bleeding to death is bad for your health. Dying is not healthy. And you're it sounds obvious, but the main thing is this. It's something people take for granted. Is that, yes, bleeding to death is going to kill you. Bleeding to death is unhealthy for you. But here's the thing. Bleeding to death is unhealthy because you're losing your blood. A byproduct of that is you're cold. And here's the thing. If all of a sudden you're feeling cold, another thing that's happening is this. You're not going to be able to think very clearly. You may not even, here's the thing, she's not even, and it's not that she's stupid. It's an issue of, no matter how intelligent you are, you have to have the proper, chemicals and electrical signals being able to fire. And whatever is killing us is, one, making us feel cold, but two, is the higher part, because here's the thing, out of all the food you eat, your body is regularly using at least 20% of your energy reserves, I think, if I remember right, just for your brain, just for thinking. When it comes right down to it, it's this. The human mind is an amazing computer. And while there are over 8 billion of us on the planet, and many of us have different IQ levels, the main point is even two different people of high IQ will have very different knowledge about different things. Hey, take doctors. There's so much to know about when it comes to being a doctor that there are many of that choose to be specialists in certain things. Now, is a brain surgeon any less or more intelligent than a heart surgeon? Well, that's probably just depends on the person. But as far as the skill itself, no, that doesn't determine that. It's just an issue. It's a different skill. A brain surgeon probably wouldn't know what to do with a heart surgery, and a heart surgeon wouldn't know what to do with a brain surgery. I mean, they at least have a vast array of generalized knowledge, but of course you have to have certain specialties down, because the human brain does have its limitations, even for people that are smart. Like I said, I want to learn German and Japanese. But even then, I wonder, like, the people that are, one, extremely intelligent, and two, naturally gifted for languages, what is the limit to how much a human mind can handle in terms of languages? I mean, one, just the challenge of learning it, two, the use of it. But it's just more like it's aesthetically, the sounds, it's like having a new... It's like looking at languages like art, like painting. Different languages is just different types of paint. Like you got a whole new type of paint that has new textures. Fuck you. Shadows, shades, textures. Or, and the new made-up word I just made, textures. Textures! Oh god, fucking damn it. We'll drink some of the 7-Up. Main point is this. Take this. This art style is awesome. But here's the thing. These are not the only colors that exist. This is not the only style that exists. Heck, some of the other paths, like the Eldritch Horror stuff, we're at least going down, like the person explores some styles. And that's the thing. There are artists who have multiple styles. Heck, there are probably some artists who draw, whose style changes over time, so gradually that maybe they don't even notice the change to their own style. But the main thing is this. Whatever is killing us is making her cold. Because some part of our body is dying, and us feeling the cold is our body being like, hey, we're dying. But whatever is happening to us is hindering the higher functions of our brain, so that we're not even emotionally reacting to it, because we don't even understand that we're dying. So that's the thing. We don't even understand that we're dying. Because whatever is killing us is damaging us so badly. It's kind of like the idea if someone were to get, say, drugged or poisoned. There's a difference between, say, oh, I feel ill. Maybe I was poisoned. As opposed to the poison coming on so suddenly that you just sort of like, I feel dizzy. Maybe I should get some water. Like, you don't even understand that something that serious is happening. Say, take spider bites. There's some spider bites that are completely harmless to humans. And there's others that are extraordinarily dangerous. And sometimes, with that sort of stuff, minutes or even seconds can be the difference between life and death in terms of reacting and getting proper treatment. I mean, heck, I was 3 years old, I had my tonsils out. Of course, I can't remember that. But back for the original cystoscopies and stuff to double check what needed to be done for the surgery inside my body. I mean, I definitely had to be put under for that. And I can definitely remember extremely clearly with the mask on my face. And basically, there's two types of stuff they put in you. And here's the weird thing. I have this bump on my left hand where I had the IV in. So, depending on if that heals, I think I have a permanent scar on my left hand from the IV. But then it's only been 12 days, so we'll give it some time. It's just, I've never seen a bump like this before on my body. And I've had IVs before, and I've had injections before. But I've never had a mark like this left before. But then again, maybe it was some reaction to what was being pumped in me, I don't know. But, yeah, I was having chemicals pumped in me intravenously, as well as through a mask on my face, to basically, put me into a temporary reversible coma. That's basically what being anesthetized is. And I can remember going to sleep, and I can remember waking up. Thankfully, I didn't wake up in the middle of anything, or at least if I did, I don't remember that. But I can remember very clearly. And here's the thing, I'll say this. I am an extremely analytical person. In every time of the 2 times that I have been put under, I still felt that my cognitive abilities were completely intact until I was unconscious. It wasn't an issue of feeling, I don't know, what would it be, like stoned or whatever. Like, here's the thing, there's people like that get drugged and stuff, or like, you know, they do like, oh, what'd you do? I smoked 7 bongs and 20 joints and 400 blunts in 2 hours or something, and now I see swirly colors or something. I don't know. I've never smoked marijuana. But I have seen other people smoke marijuana. I've seen their reactions. And of course, I've seen plenty of YouTube videos describing the effects of different drugs. Obviously, I would not trust my mind to be under the effect of any sort of psychedelic because, well, honestly, I have a constant stream of a lot of different multiple lines of thought in my mind. I mean, heck, I've had a lot of really bad dreams and nightmares. I tend to sometimes have paranoid or very depressing thoughts. So I don't know. I would imagine if I were to like be like really drunk or stoned or do drugs, that I feel like my mental illnesses would be a liability. Like, I feel like if I ever hung out with people and got stoned, they would have to actively like just keep an eye on me and make sure I didn't like kill myself or something. I mean, obviously I wouldn't want to under a normal circumstance. I'm just saying, I don't, like, I've never smoked marijuana. I've never smoked anything. But I don't trust, even though that's considered a lesser psychedelic compared to like the really insane stuff that's out there, like LSD and shit, or psilocybin, or DMT, or ayahuasca, and all that. Heck, there's all sorts of other drugs that are even worse than that are actually much more common to get, that of course I've at least read up on because I'm interested in other people's experiences, and I tend to want to learn everything. Heck, I'm the kind of person that if you give me a book, I need to read that book. Fucking Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead series would have hated me. It's like, why do you need to read the Necronomicon? Because it's a book, and it's there, man. It's just, I like to read. I have lots of books. Like I said, I don't play Warhammer, but I have the Warhammer 40k, but I have like a dozen of the books just to casually read. I like reading. But here's the thing, when I was getting anesthetized, sedated, whatever, I felt 100% cognizant. I felt like, now granted, I can all remember how to do math. Like, in high school, I could do calculus, physics, chemistry, all that stuff. I don't remember any of that. Now the question is, if put in front of me again, and I spent time actually working on it, would I be able to remember it? Maybe. I don't know. Would I be able to relearn it? I don't know. I feel like I'm not nearly as intelligent as I was when I was older. I mean, I've had swelling in the brain, I've had concussions, I've had a dozen staples left side of my head, I've had fevers of 106 and 107 like a dozen times. I mean, I've had numerous unhealthy things occur to me. I mean, I've been poisoned, I've had fevers, I've been hit in the head a lot, I've got ill a lot, I've had swelling of the brain, meningitis, encephalitis of the brain and spine. I mean, obviously, I don't imagine that stuff. And even then, I feel like just normal aging and depression has a negative effect on intelligence. But, I mean, would I hypothetically be able to relearn? I mean, I'd probably have to, like, start back with, like, algebra, trigonometry, and stuff before I got back to calculus. But hypothetically, if I were to work at it, I mean, would I be able to relearn all of it? Maybe. But, again, that would require a lot of time and effort. Honestly, I'm already trying to do like 57 different things. But yeah, it's just, I still felt cognizant. I still felt like I could still make intelligent decisions. Heck, of course it wouldn't let me drive down a road on a freeway or anything, but I feel like under that, like, the moment you wake up from, like, even for like, I remember the seconds before I went unconscious from the surgery anesthetics. Even then, granted, at that point I was starting to not feel my limbs, but I feel like I could have driven. I felt like I was still... But that's probably the way it works with drunk drivers, right? I mean, I imagine most people think they're still capable of driving even though they're physically not. But it's just like, granted, I wasn't physically able to move very well after the surgery, even though it wasn't a major surgery. Because like I said, initially, like it was between that thing that took a week of recovery or a thing that would have taken 2 months of recovery. And obviously the surgery that would have been 2 months sounded like something out of a fucking horror movie. That was definitely one to avoid. Then again, knowing my reaction in terms of how my body responded to the minor surgery, the major, like, here's the thing, my body reacted so, like, it wasn't like life-threatening in terms of the way my body reacted, but the main point is I was in a lot of pain and my body was very, very weakened. Just from the minor surgery. If I had actually had the outright major reconstructive surgery they originally suggested, I mean, one, that would have taken 2 months of recovery, but two, I don't think my body would have handled that. Given how weak and how much it hurt from the minor surgery, I think if I had gotten the major surgery, I don't think I would have survived. Because I would have had to been... Because here's the thing. When I was anesthetized for cystoscopy, I was under for like 20 minutes. And I was basically awake and alert 5 minutes after that was done. And like I said, for me, it just... when I was anesthetized then, each time, I went from one moment of being completely lucid and aware in one room to lucid and aware in another room. It's like I teleported. But there's no situation like, oh, I was groggy, or there was like, boom. And even then, even when I was being put under for the surgery, the minor surgery, technically the surgery is supposed to take an hour. So the surgery is supposed to take maybe an hour, maybe slightly longer. But here's the thing. While I was completely alert 100% when I woke up, and of course in a different room in a recovery area, it was 2.5 hours later. My surgery is supposed to take 1 hour. Because here's the thing. When I did the cystoscopy, I was out for like 20 minutes. And I was completely awake instantly 5 minutes after that. Of being in a recovery room. And yeah, I was good. It's 25 minutes total between of the teleportation. With this minor surgery that I had on October 16th, the surgery itself is supposed to take 1 hour. It's even said, okay, it could take slightly longer than an hour depending on how it goes. The first thing I looked at the moment I was awake was the clock. It had been over 2.5 hours since I went under for a surgery that takes 1 hour. If maybe longer, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half tops. But it had been over basically 2.5 hours. Also, say another thing. When I initially woke up from that surgery, for the first 2 or 3 minutes, my head was just sort of jerking from side to side uncontrollably. And here's the thing, I was still able to talk just fine. It's just, I was having certain little muscle spasms for a few minutes as my body was apparently trying to refigure out how neurons work or some shit. But, given how much pain I was in, even with medication, how exhausted I was. Because like I said, initially, when they scheduled the surgery, I made a video saying, you know what, I'm going to get that surgery and come right straight home and start recording videos. I'm like, yeah, I just got back from the surgery and we're hopping into playing Super Meat Boy or something. No. I basically watched some movies with my mom and laid in bed and just tried to sit and just tried to not be miserable, which I failed. I was still miserable. But I'll say this. I'm glad my mom was here. My mom was here 3 days and 3 nights, and I really appreciated that she was here for me. I really needed her. I was in a lot of pain. I was very weakened. And granted, it would have been nice if it would have been under better circumstances, but I also just straight up legitimately just enjoyed spending some time with my mom. Granted, it was under shitty circumstances, especially if you read how I went into more detail about things in the community post. But that was the thing, I was like, when I had a chance from time to time, I was just sort of updating YouTube on the community post. But beyond that, it's like, yeah, my initial plan of recording anything, no. I couldn't do shit. I was too weak. I was in too much pain. I was too miserable. I was too exhausted. I had no energy. And like I said, when I went to the emergency room after the first 24 hours of it, it's just like not even quite full, like more like 20 or 19 hours. I just wanted them to give me morphine. Even though they did give me pain pills, it's just like, and even then they said, oh, it's not a major, it's a minor surgery, so it's not like I needed a blood transfusion or something. But I was hurting a lot, to enough to where I was exhausted, it was difficult to even move. I was basically crippled. And for a few stretches here and there, I was practically bedridden. I couldn't do anything. I was just laying there, curved slightly to the right, trying to move the tube of my catheter from time to time so it drains properly into the bag, and then like every 15 minutes, just taking the catheter bag, holding it over the bucket, and just sort of opening the latch to drain the catheter bag like every 15 minutes. And I was just in constant pain. And I was miserable. I mean, honestly, if they'd... Like, I outright asked the emergency room doctor, just give me morphine. It's just, I'm miserable. I don't like how any of this feels. Not only is it physically painful, but, you know, even if it wasn't painful, it's just, this is not a good sensation going through my body. It's something I do not like to a very strong degree. But, you know, the pain was also a really big contributor. But yeah, they're like, yeah, no, we can't. And they're like, yeah, you're supposed to be in that much pain from that. And I'm like this, given the fact that I was out, like, it's an hour, maybe an hour, 20-minute surgery, and which means even if it went perfectly, that still means I spent an hour and a half unconscious before I woke up after the surgery. That means I spent at least a good... And here's the thing, I had actually slept well before the surgery. Initially I thought, oh, I'm going to stay up to... Maybe it'll help the anesthetics work better. I don't think... But apparently that has no effect on it no matter what. But yeah, I slept well before the surgery. Because I was just exhausted out of worry and stuff. Heck, when they checked my blood pressure, they had actually just give me a few minutes to try to calm me down or something, because like, my blood pressure had spiked so much from how I felt about going into the surgery. Because normally my blood pressure is perfectly fine. And just all of a sudden, at being there for the surgery, my blood pressure was through the roof. But I was out for over 2.5 hours for an hour 10-minute surgery. If I had had the more intense surgery, I would have been required to keep that catheter in me for 14 days straight. Even longer than it's been now since that surgery happened. Also, I probably would have needed a blood transfusion. And it would have basically been a major reconstructive surgery. I would have had a lot of me cut open and all that stuff. I would have been sedated for about minimum of 3 hours, 3.5 hours, but for as long as 5 hours. So we'll say, yeah, for the sake of a marijuana joke, since we were talking about that shit earlier, 4 hours and 20 minutes. And then after that, how long would I be asleep after the surgery before I woke up? And the thing is this, given the way my body responded and how much pain I was in and how exhausted I was just from a minor surgery, I think if I had actually had the major surgery that they initially suggested, I'm pretty sure I would have died. But yeah, it's kind of funny when they first scheduled it, I was saying in a video, like, yeah, I'm just going to come straight home and start recording and stuff. And no. I was just too exhausted and too much pain. But yeah, you guys got the point of whatever I was trying to say. But I'll say this. I do love my mom very much. And I appreciate my mother very much.
She's cold. Quick, our feathers. Pluck them all and weave her a coat worthy of a princess.
I mean, obviously we can't be dying that badly if you're still able to coherently think that much. What? What? But you don't get a chance to make that jacket. Something has taken her away, and it's left something else in her place. Okay.
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her?
Am I being punished for trying to look at the mirror?
Is that a mirror? Why is it here? Why now?
Okay. Let me get to the... I can't. And here's the thing. Part 4 might just be me exploring all the different options with the damsel path. But this is going to take like 100 parts. This is going to be like, okay guys, we're on hour 8,000 of the Slay the Princess game playthrough. How did everyone do recently with the 2047 election? I think I'm supposed to look at that mirror. The narrator is gone. I don't know where she went, and I don't know how we'd even go out looking for her. Let's just approach the mirror.
I'm begging you, don't do this.
Why is the hero? Because here's the thing, remember, I don't know if our main person still exists. I mean, I'm still making decisions, so yes. But the voice of the hero is there from the very start. Wiggly picture. Okay? You approach the mirror.
This doesn't feel right. It feels different. Final.
Okay.
Yes. I fear that we won't like what we'll see. What if we just sit here and preen for a while? That can't hurt, right?
The voices feel small, distant as you approach. So it sort of purges the voices and leaves just me, whoever I am. Gaze into your reflection. Silence as you reach forward. They're gone. But the mirror remains. It's time for you to see what is in it. So they don't get to see it. Only I do. I can't see very well. It's you. The body. I don't know if I was supposed to turn brightness up or anything, but I can kind of see eyeballs. You are alone in a place that is empty. It is quiet here. How do I proceed to the cabin? You are at the cabin. I mean, the hill's still there. Also, wiggly picture. And I am cursed. I know I'm supposed to be seeing those arms like it's a fucking bonfire, like a witch being burned at the stake. But my first thought is tentacle hentai, because I'm a degenerate. Approach her.
Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel.
Okay. The fuck is happening? Save. Does that mean if I go the route of the Eldritch Horror that somewhere along the line the Eldritch Horror is going to be kidnapped? Or that the giant Tess gets kidnapped, or the werewolf, or the witch, or the vampire, that they get kidnapped by the, I don't know, Mazaku yokais? What are you? The gift of fragile. Is this the end of the world? Let her out of there. Do you know the narrator? Are you what sent me to slay the princess? Are you what trapped me here? Do you know about the worlds beyond this place? Are you the princess? Do we know each other? What happens now? Attack the entity. Destroy your body! Okay. I don't know what I should... Also, weekly picture. I don't know what I should do.
I am solitary lights in an empty city. What are you?
Oh! So... It's like an aquarium without fish. What you're saying is... You feel like you have the potential to do something, but you feel like you don't have the ability to. It's kind of like God as far as creating the universe. Like, okay, you have the ability to create the universe and humans, why wouldn't you? Hell! One would say, like, the reality is just human beings or AIs created by God. And God's just constantly looking at us like, I didn't program you to do that! How the fuck is that happening? Who wrote lunar.exe? I mean, technically me, but still, why is it doing this? It's like, I didn't program you to exist this way. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucked up. Sorry. What do you think I am?
I think that you are like me. We are oceans, reduced to shallow creeks.
Or is it the idea of a higher being being limited to being an avatar? Next on Doki Doki Literature Club.
You are the only thing I have ever known.
Okay.
The space we're in is vacant. Nothing comes here but us.
Huh.
I know only that they are.
Huh. I like the art style, but it's definitely... like, I don't know what's happening.
She is part of me, and part of me is her.
Okay. Basically pieces of a whole. But were you always a princess, or are you just making her a part of yourself? Is that what? Is she gonna get pissed at me for saying this?
You speak in circles. Does it matter where one thing begins and another ends?
I mean, heck, all people do that. I mean, we kind of just evolve over time. I mean, no matter what, I think, what is it, the process? All humans are in a constant state of, I think it's homeostasis and heterostasis. Like, no matter what, human beings have a constant urge to stay the same, to be creatures of habit. We also have a constant urge to keep changing. So, it's a mix of things trying to keep us the same and make us change. And then again, it's also genetics, chemical interactions. I mean, those things can have us predisposed to things. I mean, obviously, if you have more of a certain chemical in your brain than other chemicals. Or nature, nurture. What kind of environment are you in? What resources do you have? How do people treat you? And just, like, most of all, free will. What's your choice? But of course, you might have a limit. And it's like, oh, Lunar D, it's trying to sound all smart. I'm like, I'm not smart, guys. I'm a complete dumbass. It's just, I just think about this stuff. Just because I feel interested by it.
You are familiar, but you are not me. I feel sadness, longing, hope as I witness you.
That sounds romantic, actually, in a very non-sexual way. Heck, I think the best way to describe it is you feel loneliness that I'm not around, and that while you are happy that I'm here, there is, of course, anxiety that comes with it. One, how will I react? Will I reject you? Will I hate you? Will I die? Will something take me away from you? We'll explore this stuff later.
Nothing as we are, but I know that there are worlds beyond us, and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to.
Okay, so it is a thing that whatever I believe. So this world itself changes based on my feelings, my thoughts, my perceptions, and my actions.
Bring me more perspectives, so that I may be whole, and perhaps then we will know our...
So you're telling me I have to do a 100% run. I have to do all of the possible achievements.
You ask of things that cannot be done. To destroy is merely to reshape, to remold.
If anything, this makes me not feel as bad. Like, part of me felt a little guilty about the other paths. But this actually makes me feel like, okay, we kind of have to in order to actually... It's kind of like the old cutting her out of the cuff thing. And again, there's so many things to read, but I feel like almost like I'm getting punished. Like, on the one hand, I get to hear amazing voice acting, but I feel like that one action where I act like, oh, would you destroy the world? Like, I feel like I'm putting that idea in her head where she would have actually wanted to destroy the world. I don't know. Like, there's so many different options.
More than you have found, but less than there are to find.
Oh!
I am infinite. The rest will find their own way home.
Okay.
Everything, until we meet again.
Okay, so I'll have selective amnesia of everything that exists here until I come back to this spot. But I'll remember everything before the mirror.
I have not lived. I am not afraid to die. Then we will be here forever, as we are now, unfinished, dry, hollow.
Yeah, what if I just stay here?
If you need time, then I'll wait with you.
Aw, that's actually really nice. I'll make the save. But that is nice that we have that option. Because I don't like being rushed. one of the most stressful things in a video game is having a time limit. The fact that she's like, yeah, just take your time. Thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate.
You are as I am now, and forever is a long time to remain undone. I am not you, but I know that I would return before forever was finished. What textures will you weave for yourself to occupy forever? Will you place the images of you and I into a box for safekeeping?
Well, one, I am sentimental, but two, yeah. I don't know, I value the time doing nothing. You don't have to always be productive about everything. You can just sit and just enjoy a nice cup of tea. You know, you guys ever do that? Just brew yourself a nice cup of Earl Grey and just sort of sit outside and just... I mean, granted, it isn't much of a view, but you look at some trees and the skyline and stuff, but you guys ever just, like, brew yourself a cup of tea and just sort of just sit out and just stare into the horizon and just look at trees and stuff? I mean, granted, that's usually the same tree, or I go other places, but, like, I enjoy beautiful scenery. That's everything I want to do with the Midjourney AI. So I want to take things from retro games that are, like, beautiful backgrounds. Like, I mentioned the idea of the touch grass. Like, what if they were made in VR chat things? Like, what about Balaam Garden from Final Fantasy VIII, or the underground lake at Mega Man Legends, or Steamwood Forest, or Braven's Musashi, or any of those stages? Like I said, the idea of using Midjourney AI to just sort of bring that to life. I mean, I'm advertising games that I think are awesome. Like, hey, you ever play Braven's Musashi? Best game for ever, PlayStation 1? You know? One, I'm just saying, hey, this is an awesome game. I really enjoyed it. I think other people would too. But also, it's more of an issue of... One, some of the games are nostalgic. And some of them have additional, like Robo Warrior, Dragon Spirit. And especially the original Super Mario Brothers... and Super Mario Bros. 3, and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. Granted, I enjoy the games themselves, and the art and the music and all that. But the fact is, I played those games with my mom. And I do acknowledge that, you know, she is older, and her health has had some issues. I mean, she's even had some strokes and an aneurysm before. Could have very well killed her. Heck, I won't give an actual specific because it gives too much of a personal information, but it's been well over a decade. Basically a decade and a half since my oldest sister, just one day, just aneurysm, part of her brain, and that was it. Got to see her laying unconscious on a hospital bed, a tube in her mouth. Wasn't long after that